Right, hi, it's Clive and Kerry Daley from the Daily Hub, and we're delighted this morning to have Darren Waters, CEO of ERA, with us. Kerry, first question for Darren.
So tell us about your journey to a CEO role.
Well, my career probably splits into two halves. So the first half was with Mobil Oil, which I kind of joined straight after university on their kind of graduate program in I think 1986. And my kind of last role with them was trading marine oil with shipping companies all over the world. If you'd have said to me at that time, I'd be running a hardware business in the door and window industry, I'd have said no way. But after getting out of the oil industry, which I did to set up a .com, if you remember those back in 2000, I was one of the .com pioneers, I'd like to say, but lasted a year, 3.5 internet years, by the way, that is. And obviously ran out of cash. I decided to take a shift into building materials. So I ended up in the cement business with RMC and worked for Tarmac. And once you're in building materials, you just can't get out of it. So when the opportunity came up with ERA, the thing that really attracted me to the role was the opportunity to make a difference. And that's what I really enjoy doing. I think I consider myself to be fairly entrepreneurial. I could see with ERA, it was a business that had, some good people, some great products, but really hadn't, moved with the times. And, the facilities, the kind of innovation had kind of just ground to a halt. So the opportunity, I think, to breathe some kind of fresh life into the business and take it in a different, in a more progressive direction was the attraction. And 8 years on, I'm still here, so I must be enjoying it.
And I've been to your office, and it's a high-tech office, actually, which you'd expect from safety and security angle. And I guess just playing on that entrepreneurial side to you, we've been through a dreadful time of COVID-19. How have you and your business coped with some of the challenges that it's brought through?
Well, it's interesting. So I was in for some surgery at the beginning of the year, and the day I had it, I was obviously out of theatre, and I was on my iPad, and it was at that time. So this was the end of January, and I was reading what was happening in China, and we've got people out there because we've got quite a large sourcing operation, and so I was obviously in contact with people. And I could see that this was becoming quite serious. And I actually emailed my boss. So this was a Saturday night. She's normally working on a Saturday night, by the way. So I knew I'd reach her. And I said, look, I think this is going to be a major issue for us. And I wasn't thinking about the impact in the UK and us actually having an issue with the transmission of the virus. I was actually thinking about it from the supply chain point of view, because most of our product is coming from the Far East. And I could see the disruption that was going to come, and we'd probably have product shortages. And of course, this was just prior to Chinese New Year as well, which is always a challenging time for a business like ours. So never did I think that just 2 months later, we'd be in the depths of the crisis that none of us have ever seen before. And I think, myself, the rest of the management team, when I think it was Boris Johnson's speech, I think it was the Monday, the 23rd or the 24th, 23rd, I think it was, of March. We were on the phone straight afterwards. So we had a team Skype call, and in terms of what we were going to do. And look, our priority all along has been the safety of our employees. That is that's our number one, goal. And so one of the team was saying, well, we've got to shut down tomorrow. And I said, well, let's just be calm about this. We can't just shut up shop. There's got to be a kind of a phased closure of the business. We were all agreed on that. But I think really by the Wednesday, we'd shut up most of our operation. We got people, back home. And in fact, even prior to that, those that we considered to be vulnerable, we were shielding anyway. We obviously had social distancing in place. We were limiting the number of people that could go into our canteen. Yeah, we were doing all the things that you would expect, but as I say, priority was people's safety, and we recognised that, like a lot of businesses, we just had to shut up shop, and that's what we did. Literally 2 days, so the Wednesday of that week.
Wow. Good. So what have you been doing over the last sort of 10 weeks?
Spend my life on Skype and Zoom and Microsoft Teams, like most people. No, what we've been doing is feeling our way, I think. April was, a bit of a wipeout, really, because whilst we had some skeleton teams in, because we're still receiving inbound containers from China, so we obviously had to put products away. So we had a team in most of our warehouses. Equally, that gave us the opportunity to ship some products. So some of the, kind of more digitally fit distributors that we supply, they were still in business operating. So we had a limited amount of sales in April. And then really the turning point, I think, was the middle of May. So we're heavily dependent on fabricators of door and windows. And when the government announced that was, kind of no longer deemed as kind of non-essential, that installers could go into people's homes, do a risk assessment, and effectively it was a green light for the industry to restart. So, middle of May onwards, from the 18th of May, that Monday, we saw, a marked shift in terms of demand for our product. And the final week of May really just took us by surprise, almost back up to pre-COVID levels, almost. So May was a nice surprise in terms of where we ended up. And that kind of trend has continued into June. So what we've been doing is twice every week, myself and the rest of the management team, we have a 1 hour call where we review previous days' sales activity in terms of number of emails coming into the business, number of calls, number of orders, number of lines that we're having to pick, just to get a sense of how demand is moving. And then what we've been doing is we've been progressively bringing back people off furlough. Our priority has been processing and fulfilling orders. So most of the people that we've been bringing back are customer service people and, warehouse and manufacturing people. So as of now, we are just over 50%. So just over 50% of our employees are back working. If you went back to just after we went into lockdown, we put 90% of our employees on furlough. And I would also say, in terms of the furlough process itself, we made a decision very early on to protect those people that were on the lowest pay. We topped them up to 100% because clearly, we recognised that those people would be disproportionately affected by the government scheme. And as generous as it was, and I think the government did a great job there in quickly stepping in. And then what we've done is we've kind of phased that down. So we went from 100% down to 90% in May, 80% in June, because a lot of those people are the ones that we're bringing back into the business. And clearly we needed to create a differential. It wouldn't be fair if you were asking somebody to come back and do a shift in a warehouse, whereas, a colleague of his would still be sat at home on the same pay. Yeah. So we've done that. And we've also, as a management team, we've taken a 20% cut in salary, which I think is likely to continue for some time, so that we're taking a share of the pain. And I think communication-wise, I've been doing a weekly update to the business, a kind of all-employee email. We've also sent brief text to keep in touch with people, where we've been sending formal communications, such as, when we're refurloughing people, there's a need for us to write to them. So we've been sending a text just to say, watch out, there's an email coming into your inbox. And then last week I went from email to video and sent out a video update, which seemed to go down well. So, I think regular communication, being honest as well with people. So managing expectations, because I think as soon as some of the lockdown measures were lifted, I think people were expecting, that's it, we're going to be back at work. Whereas we've been saying all along, look, we're taking this steady, in terms of, we've obviously taken it a week at a time, and we will only bring people back when the business can afford to do so and when we've got the demand to support those jobs.
And you're right, the furlough has saved many a business, I think. The challenge, I guess, now is in the remobilisation as you're building up the workforce is there's a pent-up demand that it sounds like you're now sort of fulfilling. When does the sales line come? When do the salespeople come in to then start generating? How far forward are you planning that?
So we're at a point now where we're considering some of that. We have got a very small team of external salespeople back working, but we kind of recognise that, look, a lot of our customers are in exactly the same boat as us. They're trying to get their businesses back on their feet, and therefore probably the last thing they want is a salesperson calling on them. There's also this issue really around, well, do people want to have face-to-face meetings as well? Over the last 10 weeks, we've all got used to Teams, Skype and Zoom, and it's a format that I think we're all getting comfortable with and familiar with. So I think that's probably going to have some impact in terms of how we maybe sell to people moving forward. But clearly, I think people still want to have some face-to-face representation meetings. So yeah, I think over the next few weeks we will be bringing back more external salespeople because we've got new products that we're launching that we need to talk about, that we kind of shelved because of lockdown, and also, important projects that we need to follow up on. So, yeah, it's. I think more people will be gradually coming back into the business, but I think in terms of managing expectations, I think we'll be fully utilising the extension of the furlough scheme, which obviously now runs until October. I'm sure we'll be utilising that. And I think the great thing from August onwards is that we've got flexibility in terms of, being able to bring back people part-time, without losing on some of the furlough support. And, we intend to do some of that as well.
And actually, hearing you talk about the journey, there's definitely that entrepreneurial, go back to your entrepreneurial spirit, I'm sure that's shared with your team. Is that you can see that you've been ahead of the curve. It sounds like you were doing social distancing before the government had worked out what the word is actually and the definition of it.
I mean, so prior to lockdown, we had 2 meters of social distancing. We had clear, lines of marcation out in the canteen. We were doing regular clean downs within the office. So, and we shared that amongst us. So people around the office, we had the antibacterial spray and cleaning handles. So we were doing all of that. I think coming back though, we've kind of upped our game significantly. So where we're not able to keep 2 meters, then we've got visors. And it's interesting. I was on the shop floor last week speaking to some of our employees that work in our multi-point lock section, and they were sporting these, Perspex visors and, asking me what I thought. And I think people appreciate the fact that we are maybe going above and beyond what the guidelines have stated. As I say, our priority very much is people's safety. And even if public transport, a lot of our employees rely on public transport to get to and from work. So what we've done is we've laid on a private minibus to bring people backwards and forwards from Wolverhampton into our main site, so that people are not having to use public transport. We'll probably continue that, I think, for at least a couple of months until things are really settled down.
Yeah, that's great, and I'm sure your teams feel very safe and secure of all the measures you put in place. That's definitely some best practices. Hearing you talk about it.
It's interesting. Well, we just done an updated employee survey just to test the mood. I mean, we do a survey every year, but we were keen to understand 2 things: have people's attitudes shifted during COVID-19, and look, how have we done as a business in terms of managing that from an employee point of view? And actually, we got some positive feedback, but actually there was a section of employees that thought we'd gone too far in terms of safety first approach. But I'd rather be in that category than being seen to have not done enough. It's
not a bad criticism, is it? No. If you've gone too safe and too conscientious. I guess the big sort of key question now is that if it all were to happen again in a month's time, where it's locked down, we're back to the 24th of March again. Is there anything that, looking back now, you would do differently?
That's a really tough question, because obviously sat here, we're kind of hoping that there won't be a kind of second wave, and we can't obviously discount it, but it would be really damaging, because it feels like there's a mood of optimism out in the market, and I think a lot of businesses like ours are kind of getting themselves back on their feet and doing okay in the circumstances. So I really hope we're not faced with that situation. If we are, then again, our kind of guiding principle will be safety of our employees first and foremost, and obviously making sure that we, manage our customer expectations. And I think customers have been really understanding. They recognise that these are unusual times, unprecedented times, and therefore, you can't expect to see normal service. But our employees will always come first, and and that's what will guide us. So, in answer to your question, probably not. I think I'm really proud of my team. I mean, the team have done a fantastic job in terms of, I think, remaining calm in the circumstances and making, I think, timely decisions based on facts, based on the information in front of us that has been changing on a daily basis. And I'm lucky to have the team I've got. They've done a fantastic job in terms of, I think, managing their teams of employees and helping us steer the business through what has been just a crazy time.
Darren, thank you very much for taking us through your journey. It's been fascinating hearing the great work, and good luck with the future.
Thank you very much. Take care. Stay safe.